What's up, guys? I started part three this morning. I feel really led to continue to talk about the science of being broke. Maybe I'll talk about this for a whole week, maybe 2 weeks. But I feel like there's a science to being broke. So this morning, before I get started at work and I move, starts moving and grooving, before anything starts, I want to talk about the science of being broke. I think there are three things that really cause people um, to go broke. And those three things, I believe, are budgeting, flossing, and saving. Um, for instance, I believe that a budget is when someone is able to look at what they have and determine based on what they have what they can spend. So a budget has restraints. Um, a diet budget, if you will, when you go on a diet, or if you have an eating meal plan, most people who are looking at what they eat, they have a budget of what they can eat, how many calories they want to consume, and how many calories they can't consume. If you don't have a dietary budget meal plan, you'll become overweight. And we all know what that's like, being overweight and, you know, having to deal with life when you should weigh less. So, what does a budget do for you? A budget creates a safeguard to say that I'm going to pay myself first, I'm going to put my savings in first, and then based on what I have left, that's when I'm going to have my expenses take care of. When I purchased my first property, I didn't know that your mortgage or your wherever you're buying, or even if you're renting, should not be over 30% of your income. I had no idea. So, luckily I was in a position where that was the case, but a lot of people, there where they live, just the rent, not the utilities, is 50% of their take home pay. So a budget just makes sure that you have an agreement with yourself that this is how much I'm going to spend, this is how much extra money I have, and this is how much money I'm going to save. The science of being broke dictates that if you don't have a budget and you just kind of live carefree based on what you see and spur of the moment, the science of being broke says you're going to stay broke. If it's based on how you feel that day and, oh, I might go get this, I might go get that. Even people who have an abundance of money still have budgets because they want a financial guideline. Having a budget doesn't mean you're broke. Having a budget means you're intelligent. I used to think that if you're on a budget, that means that you can't do stuff because you don't have the money. It's actually the opposite. The more you have money, the more you value having a budget so you can allocate funds. Businesses have budgets, corporations have budgets, they have a financial plan. Can you imagine living life without a financial plan? Well, most of us, people like me, I used to live without a financial plan. That's like living without a spiritual plan. Why would you want to be randomly, um, you know, following whatever faith comes your way? Having a spiritual plan is just as important, and having a financial plan is important. So the word budget is something you got to keep in mind. The science of being broke also has a large deal to do with flossing. Flossing is when you are spending money, acquiring things that usually uh, have depreciated value for the sake of impressing others or having a social status. Um, I don't make enough money to buy $500 shoes. I make money, but I don't make enough money to say I'm going to spend $500 on shoes. I don't make that kind of money. How do I know? Because my budget dictates that I don't make that kind of money that I can throw $500 in some shoes. When I don't even want to start talking about Jordans. So yesterday I heard a young man who actually dropped out of Harvard. And the reason why he dropped out of Harvard is because he realized that he had such a great opportunity in front of him that he didn't want to lose the opportunity that he had before him. He said, money is which I want to bring up. Money is our opportunity. No matter how much money you make. If you save $10 a month for 12 months, you have $120. That $120 could provide opportunities that you never could have. I have a cousin, and my cousin Trey told me that he said by the end of the year, he said, I'm going to start a business. He said, I don't care what the business is. He said, I don't care if we selling the fruit or we folding clothes. I'm going to start a business because he understands the importance of creating your own financial revenue. So I just want to encourage everybody that it's important to understand that you have to avoid flossing. All your extra money, I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life and go to a concert or do whatever, get a nice pair of clothes or whatever. But how can we be in a place? How do we make so much money that we can afford to floss? I don't make that much money. I don't make that much money that I can just go in somewhere and not look at and see is there a sale. Warren Buffett, who I believe is one of the richest Americans that we have, Warren Buffett talks about how his home looks compared to what he could afford. Warren Buffett says he has like this, he wears generally the same types of clothes. Now, you don't have to be Warren Buffett, but you do have to learn that there are characteristics of people that are able to acquire money. And if you're broke, remember, broke is not people that grow up poor. I'm not talking about a 10-year-old kid right now. I'm talking about adults that work jobs who don't have a financial plan. They don't budget. They always want to kind of just, I'll go whatever, I'll do whatever, and are broke at the end of the month. Being broke at the end of the month is a sin. You should not be broke at the end of the month because then you're a slave to your job. And one of the things that I do not want to be anymore, and I didn't want to be anymore, is a slave to my job. Ultimately, we should be trying to create some type of financial plan where we can walk off these jobs or at least have cushion so if these jobs ever want to change how they feel about us, we have something to fall back on. We have businesses, we have plans. So flossing is a big part of the science of being broke. I know a whole lot of people that got some cold automobiles, they got some cold clothes, they got some gear all day, and they're broke. If you have what if somebody gave you an opportunity that you could take place in a business with them? You could take part in a business with them, but all you needed was $10,000 liquid cash. Wouldn't that be a shame that you couldn't take advantage of an opportunity because you're so busy flossing? We got to stop flossing. And it's not just the teenagers. I'm not talking about the people that's 22, 23. I know a whole bunch of people in their 30s and 40s that are flossing. Even worse, I know people that are flossing and confusing their kids to think that they got money to be doing that stuff for. So their kids kind of think that's how you're supposed to do it. The reality is, very few of us have enough money to really say we're going to start flossing. We got to start owning some properties. We got to start running some businesses, and then we got to start paying them off. That is when you call. Then you can really floss the real way. The third part of, by part 3 of the science of being broke, the third pillar I want to talk about is saving money. Saving money, in my opinion, is almost like saving yourself. I don't think that we were designed to work jobs and get paychecks and not save money. I think that, and this could be a thing with Americans, I think that we are such consumers that the thought of saving money almost has to be something that is forced upon us. I know some people that are involved in credit unions, they have their money taken out so they don't even get the chance to see it just so they can save money. I think that I think all three things can probably be linked. I think if you look at how a person deals with money, It could influence how they feed their bodies, the food they eat, and it could influence how they feel about life in general. You know, there's a lot of people that are real down on life and giving up on God, and a lot of it is based on their relationship with their money. You know, um, saving money requires discipline. Saving money requires a plan. Going back to a budget, saving money requires you saying, "No, I'm not going to be out of control." You know how hard it is for somebody to nowadays. If you go to the average mall and they have so many places where you could buy some sweets or some junk food, you know how hard it is for people to say, no, I'm not going to eat the junk food. I'm not going to eat the fast food. It's difficult. It takes discipline. And those of us who have championed that, been champions in our physical health, that's something to aspire to. Same thing with money. If you're not saving money, if you're not having a financial plan for yourself that's independent of what somebody else is doing for you, you're going to be broke. And you're gonna really fall into the pit, the trap of being broke and living a broke lifestyle and never having any money. And how dare somebody? I mean, it's almost like you're putting yourself in the contraption where you see rats run, where they're running hard, but they never moving it at all. They're just kind of the treadmill situation with your money. So I want to continue to talk about the science of being broke. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of not being able to be an influencer and do some things. Right now, if somebody came up to me and they said, hey, we need $2 million to build a school, which will, directly help students who are all motivated to do some things, I couldn't do it. But I know for a fact that, many of us in a 10-year span and in a 15-year span have $1 million go through our hands. What do we have to show for it? If you're making $100,000 a year, every 10 years, some way, shape, or form, fiscally, you have the opportunity to have about $1 million go through your hands. If you make $50,000 a year, every 10 years, you have $500,000 go through your hands. Or, even after taxes, you're still looking at a lot of money that, what are you doing with the money? What are you doing with the seed? It's not just enough to say you're a good homeboy or you're a good homegirl. So those are my thoughts this morning. Class topic is the science of being broke, part 3. I want your feedback on, what you feel are things that reason why people are being broke. And I want to clarify that it's not about being poor. Poor is different. Poor is a situation that's out of your control. But being broke, that's something else. My name is J.R. Rucker. I'll see you guys later.